Okay, who is ready to know what halal assets you should buy? We're going to go over four main ones because obviously I'm going to keep this beginner. I'm going to keep it entry level. The four main halal assets we're going to go over in this video are halal stocks, sukuk, real estate, and gold and silver. Okay, so if you're a beginner Muslim, those are the only things you need to stick with. Let's dive into stocks first. So, what is a halal stock? What are you actually buying? What does a stock even mean? Well, a stock means buying a part of a real company, okay? So when a successful company goes public, meaning they allow the average investor like you and I to buy parts of their company, they issue something called shares, an X amount. So you could say there could be a company, they decide to go public, meaning you and I can now invest into this company and own a portion of it. They will issue 1 million shares. And now us as investors, we can buy those shares. Okay, so say we buy 100 shares from that company, we now own 0.01% of that entire company. Okay, so how do we make money? Well, we make money two different ways. There's two main ways you make money from stocks. Some stocks are dividend, where every quarter, or it depends, but the majority of stock it's quarterly. They will give you money based on the company's profits, right? So this is your dividend paycheck. You'll receive a paycheck. Hey, you own this many shares based on the percentage of profit we had. This is how much money you get. The second way you make money is called capital appreciation. This is when the value of the company keeps increasing. So when the value of the company keeps increasing, you own a portion of that, which means your shares also keep increasing. So you don't make money there, but the value of your assets increase. So then when you sell, you make a profit. Let's go over a basic example. Say you buy Apple, and like we went over, you screen the company to see if it's halal, and it passes the criteria of being a Shariah-compliant company. How do you make money when you buy the Apple stock? Well, they sell more iPhones, they release new products, so the value of the company increases, so your shares also become more valuable. That's a real world example. Now, to screen stocks, to find if stocks are permissible or not to buy, there are some screening tools. Wahad, they do it for you, so you don't have to do any of the manual labor. Insert amazing advert. If you want to start investing as a beginner Muslim, I do recommend Wahad. Use code Canyon, and you'll get a free $10 once you fund your account. I'm getting good at this, guys. But if you want to do it manually, there's also options to do it manually. Okay, so the Zoya app, this allows you to screen stocks. It will tell you if it's permissible or not. And then Islamicinvestor.com, it also has a whole database of halal stocks. Now, the second type of halal asset that you, a Muslim, unless you're a kafir, I don't know why you're watching this video, but the second asset that you can buy is something called sukuk. And I know we've been over this a couple times, but let's run through it fully. A sukuk is an Islamic bond, okay? So instead of normal bonds where I lend someone money and then they give me a fixed return, I buy ownership in an asset, and then that asset generates income, and then I get money from it, right? So it's just like the stocks, but with assets that aren't stocks, right? So I could buy ownership in a road or in a new public building, things that you can't buy a stock in. That's what sukuk would be. I'm buying a portion of this new road that was made, and then I'll get profits based on how much money that road generates. And the reason why this is halal is because it's backed by real tangible assets, right? You're actually owning something, unlike traditional bonds where it's purely based on debt and there's nothing. So sukuk's very simple. It's a great asset. It's very stable and it's very safe. So sukuk is definitely, you want to have more sukuk in your portfolio. We'll get to this later, but just briefly, the more safe you want to be, right? So when you get like high speculation and you're younger, you don't necessarily need much sukuk. Like I have a very small percentage of my personal portfolio actually in sukuk. The next halal asset that you can buy is real estate. Now there is a couple different ways that you can Now, the next halal asset that you can buy is real estate. There's a couple ways you can buy real estate as a Muslim because it's very important to understand most traditional real estate involves interest. We have to stay away from that, but it's still a great asset. You just need to make sure you're doing it the permissible way. So number one is direct property ownership. Okay, that is getting something through halal financing, which there's a difference of opinion. Whoever you follow, that's fine. Some people say halal financing is the same as interest. Some people say it's fine. I'm not the one to tell you that. You do what you want to do there. So you can buy a property through halal financing, or you can buy it straight in cash, and then you either flip the house, you resell it, or the real estate generates you income because it's a rental property. So you are getting the rents of the people who are living in your real estate property that you own. So that's option number one. Option number two is something called a real estate investment trust. So most of us don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to go buy a real estate property if we don't want to go through Islamic financing, right? So most of us cannot buy real estate. Now, does that mean you cannot get involved in real estate? Absolutely not. That is where real estate investment trusts come in. A real estate investment trust is you buy shares. Shares is, it's not necessarily called shares, but for this example, you buy shares of a company that buys real estate. So then you own a small fraction of that piece of real estate. So here's an example. I say, I am going to buy 5 rental properties. If you would like to join me on this investment, you can give me XYZ amount of money and I'll give you this percentage of the real estate properties, right? So you don't own a full real estate property, but you own a percentage. I own 0.1% of that real estate property. And the way you make money from a real estate investment trust is the same way with any other assets. The value increases, so your shares increase. And when the rents come in, you get a percentage of those because you own a percentage of the real estate trust. Now, we have to do this the Sharia-compliant way, okay? So don't go buy a real estate investment trust on any major brokerage now that I said this, because most of those are haram because they involve interest. So you need to be very certain that you get a Sharia-compliant version and they buy it without any interest, without any loans, and they buy it 100% cash up front. The returns are slightly less, but obviously we always have to put our akhirah first and we shouldn't chase this dunya. Now, the third option, and to be fair, this is pretty uncommon and you kind of have to have connections and networks, but it's important for you to know this because some of you might have the opportunity, is crowdfunding. Okay, so this is where, like, say all of us in the Muni Muslim Academy agree we want to go in and buy like a corporate building. So all of us together pile our money, like making our own real estate investment trust, and then we all buy it and then we all own a portion in relativity to how much we ended up investing. Now, in terms of Muslim ways to make money with real estate, that's actually a very good one. You just need the right connections. And if you're someone with a lot of capital, this can be good. If you don't have much capital, this is not applicable to you. If you do have a lot of capital, like you make $100,000 a year and you want to get involved in this type of stuff, I can connect you with my mentor possibly. So send me a message if you want to talk about it. We can see if it's something that's possible. Now, there are a few disclaimers when it comes to investing into real estate. Number one is you need to make sure you're not doing anything with interest. Out of all of the assets that you're going to invest into, real estate is the one that most commonly has interest, right? A lot of millionaires in the West come from real estate, but it's because you can leverage so much and you can use so much interest-based loans. And obviously as Muslims, we can't do that. So make sure you're not buying anything that involves interest. Second thing is, if you are going to buy like a rental property or invest into a real estate investment trust, make sure that the tenants that are renting out that building are not doing anything impermissible, right? So say you bought a building and it's completely halal, but then you rent it out to a bar. That's obviously not permissible because they're paying rent with money that they've made from the bar. So definitely don't do that. And then understand Islamic financing, okay? There are a lot of places out there that do Islamic financing. Some have been exposed for actually not doing it and just slapping halal on it. So make sure you're doing it a safe route and make sure you've done your proper research. The final halal asset that we're going to get into in this video is gold and silver, and really all precious metals. You can invest into a lot of precious metals, but gold and silver are the best. Now, why precious metals? Why are they good? Well, they're the oldest currency, right? Gold and silver have been around forever. It's protected against inflation. It has an impeccable track record. It's great as a last resort if everything hit the fan, the whole economic system collapsed. We'll always be able to use gold and silver. So it's always great to have gold and silver as a part of your investment portfolio. And it's very safe. And it's just like, it's stable. It's there. Gold's not going anywhere, right? A lot of the investing that we do, it's real and it's tangible, but we don't necessarily see that because it's all on screens, right? It seems all digital. But gold, you actually get to see it and you're like, I own this gold. Now, there's a few methods to buy gold as a Muslim. Number one, and the most recommended, is physical ownership. Just buy the gold at a place where you are that sells the gold. Just make sure it is verified and it's an authentic place. There are some places who will try to sell you gold that's coated in gold and it's not real gold. And then obviously it's not the amount of value that you're going to get, right? You're getting scammed. So make sure you're buying from a reputable place that sells gold. Now, the second way to buy gold is through ETFs, but very important, but 90% of these are haram. Okay. Wahad does offer a Sharia-compliant gold investment where you can buy through an ETF of them. But the reason why most are haram is because when you're buying gold as a Muslim, you must actually own it, right? When you're buying an asset as a Muslim, for it to be permissible, you have to actually own it. And when you buy into a gold fund online, most of the time you don't actually own the gold. You're buying into the fund and you own like a part of the fund, but you don't have direct ownership of that gold. So if you're doing a fund, you need to make sure the fund says you own gold in a vault and they are storing it for you, right? You have to have real ownership of that. I guess I just said ETFs, but Islamic gold accounts. That's the same thing. So 2 and 4 are the same thing. And then mining companies, like investing in a company that mines gold. That's for like very elite people and not applicable for most people. And then obviously I already went over the important considerations. Look at me. I'm getting ahead of what I already wrote down. That's how excited I am about you guys becoming good, financial, successful Muslims. Just make sure you own it. A lot of ETFs, they're not legit. So make sure you're doing your proper research. Now, there's a question that someone will have here, and I put it right here. Canyon, what about crypto? Crypto's not for beginners. If you're a beginner Muslim, don't worry about crypto. Once you get to more advanced stuff, we can talk about that. But beginners should not even be focused on it, okay? So I'm telling you right now, if you're a beginner, you don't have much invested, you're just learning about investing, don't think about crypto. Focus on this stuff right now. Okay, see you in the next module.